Environmental Station Alpha is a love letter to the Metroid series, created by the small Finnish team, Hempuli, and it was developed over the course of 3 years. It released in 2015 to minimal press coverage, and there's only one review listed for it on Metacritic. The game is about a derelict space station that's supposedly been abandoned for years, but recently it started to regain power and send out signals. A small robot has been tasked with investigating the station and figuring out what's wrong, and you are that small robot. Shortly after landing and doing a little bit of exploring, it becomes immediately apparent that there's definitely something going on, as the station security starts attacking you, and you get stuck deep within the station itself. From that point on, the game follows the Metroid formula of exploring areas full of enemies and secrets, finding items that help you with your adventure, and struggling against difficult bosses. The minimalist graphic design might be off-putting to some, but there's plenty of detail packed into it, from boss designs, backgrounds, and even animations, like the heat in the fire zone, or the way bosses move in a fight, and this is all complemented with a great sound design. Just listen. Every time your robot takes a step, jumps, or shoots its blaster, it just sounds right, and the soundtrack is full of beautiful ambient tracks that really fit the mood of the station. As I mentioned earlier, this game is heavily inspired by Metroid, but avoids the pitfalls that other Metroidvanias fall into. Because just like any Metroidvania, your main objective is to explore a large area until you can find the room you're supposed to be in to advance the plot. This means running into obstacles blocking off rooms or items you don't have the tool to overcome yet. This also usually means a lot of backtracking through areas you've already been through, which can be a tedious pain in the neck. However, ESA uses clever level design to mitigate this problem. For one, there are teleporters placed throughout the map that make it fairly painless to travel from one end of the station to another without having to go through a dozen little rooms. There's also a liberal amount of save areas, so you won't have to repeat 10 to 20 minutes of progress just because you died before you can reach a save point. There's also the fact that levels themselves are varied and experience change. You have different biomes to explore, like a water area, a fire area, and a forest area. You also have areas that change as the game progresses. This could mean an aesthetic change, or the placement of enemies to make traveling through the area more difficult than it was previously, or even obstacles that prevent you from using a pathway that was previously open to you. If I were to say anything negative about the game, it might be that its pacing isn't always perfect. The difficulty spikes near the middle of the game, and then drops off a lot near the end. And that's because the majority of this game's difficulty comes from its boss fights. Towards the middle of the game, you don't have enough access to HP capsules to mitigate the difficulty of certain bosses by augmenting your health, so you'll end up dying over and over and over again. By the end of the game, not only do you have enough access to HP capsules, you also have access to several power-ups that will boost your defense, your attack, and your mobility to a degree that most boss fights become super easy to overcome. It didn't hinder my overall experience, but it's definitely an issue. The bosses are also, for the most part, stationary. I mean, part of their body will move, but the rest of them will stay still, so you'll have to dodge and bide your time until you can figure out what their pattern is, and then attack their weak point. I would have liked to see a few more mobile bosses, but it's a very minor gripe. The main plot of the game is pretty straightforward, but for any player willing to dig deeper, there are plenty of hidden clues and secrets throughout the station that you can use to put together the whole story. There are also multiple endings to uncover, and you'll need to decipher the mystery of the station if you want that true ending. This form of storytelling might turn off some players, but I personally loved it. A Metroid-style game is all about exploration, so designing the story we have to explore the station to uncover clues, and then piece those clues together yourself to understand the story, it conforms with the rest of the design of the game perfectly. Environmental Station Alpha is probably my favorite game inspired by the Metroid series that I've ever played. It's the side-scrolling Metroid game I've craved for years, and the team that made it is not only awesome, but they're incredibly small. There's one person who designed the whole game, and that's Arvi Tekkari. Roope Mäkinen did the soundtrack, and you can find it on Steam or Bandcamp. And Jonas Turner and Nyla Takalainen did all the sound effects. And if you're looking for a tightly designed Metroid game, and are disappointed that Nintendo has completely bungled Metroid's 30th anniversary, this will scratch that itch. The game is available on Steam for Windows and Mac for just $8, and there's a demo you can even download to try the game out before you buy it. If you're worried about the issues with difficulty and pacing that I mentioned, the developer added an easier mode that's a little more forgiving. You have literally nothing to lose, and this game is just too underappreciated not to show it some love. And after playing the game you still end up craving more, have no fear because Hempuli is already working on a sequel. You can follow the developer on Twitter for more updates, and and I also recommend reading this post-release article the developer wrote 1 month after the game came out. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed the review, and feel free to leave a comment about any game you recommend I play that you feel doesn't get enough support. You can also follow me on Twitter here. There are links in the description. Thank you, and have a great day.